And it's time for the France 24 debate. Tonight, we're going to take a closer look at what exactly is unfolding in Libya. More than 3.5 years of turbulence following the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, killings, kidnappings and violence on the streets. And all of this has reached a new peak with militia violence over recent weeks. I'm joined in studio now by Hélène Bravin, a journalist and fellow at the Institute for Perspective Studies and Security in Europe. And from Tunis by Wahid Bourshan. He's managing director at Libya Qatari Holdings and a friend of the late Christopher Stevens, the US ambassador killed, of course, in the consulate attack in Benghazi. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. If I can start with you, Hélène, if you can tell us more about this call from the Parliament that's currently holed up in an eastern port city for international intervention. How significant is this?
It's not the first time that politicians ask for intervention. There was first a statement from Al-Thani, who asked Western to intervene. But the problem is on the ground is very difficult because there are many militias in Libya. There is not only militia in Tripoli or in Benghazi. There is militia all around in Libya. And we have, Libya has some jihadists too. And an intervention for who? Who can, if Western intervene, they are going to fight who? And now militia are, for example, in Benghazi, militia are inside the population. It's very, very difficult. And in the south, we have jihadists, and they are like little groups in desert. It's very difficult. In Tripoli, we have some militia, many hundred people. It's very, very difficult.
Of course, the West would have been quite decisive in 2011 when it came to NATO airstrikes. France would have hosted peace talks for a transitional government to be put in place. Is there any kind of feeling that the West, it was all very well intervening then, but now maybe there is also a need for intervention?
Yes, I think that Western underestimated very bad elements in society in Libya. For example, militia was created during the embargo. There were little groups, and now they become very, very important. Without chief, they want to impose their own law with traffics, etc., with violence. And now it's because, militia are composed by young people. And in Libya, even under Gaddafi, there was some jobless, I think that all doesn't resolve all the problems in any country. And many young people are in this militia. For example, Ibrahim Jadran, who control the installation, petroleum installation for many months. He has 33 years, and he blocked the situation of petroleum for several months. They are very young, without job, and they want to impose the law, and it's a very, very serious problem. The jobless is very serious problem in Libya.
Okay, let me bring in now on the line Wahid Bourshan. He's joining us from Tunis. A bold move, perhaps, by this new parliament, calling for international intervention and also demanding that militias disband by the end of the year and either join the police or the military. A bold move, but ultimately symbolic because they can't enforce it, can they?
Thank you for having me. You're absolutely correct. They definitely cannot. The thing that one can analyze the situation, to understand the underlying issues, can understand why the the Parliament and Mr. Tni, the Prime Minister, is resulting to or coming up with these kind of ideas. The issue is really to understand the complexities of the political situation we have in Libya. What happened was we have a political divide at this point with different directions, different visions for Libya. We have part of the old revolutionary or the 17th February revolutionaries have split, and with the liberal sort of like political elite and some of the local tribes, the federalists, some of the military who are mimicking somewhat what happened in Egypt to try to take Libya back with the certain directions away from what they called Islamists. So with that, Haftar on the ground started a military move, and I would say that caused the revolutionaries to react and to reposition themselves and what they say to correct the revolution. What I'm trying to say, and not to go too deep into the analysis, we have a political divide. The parliament represents its majority from what they call the liberal side of the political divide, and with the Federalists also they have a huge number or substantial number in the parliament. Have decided that they do not have the military might on the ground, so they wanted to resort to or have the help of the international community to sort of like help them in that in their political aspiration. What happened is that the parliament, as it exists at this point in the edge of Libya, in Tobruk, a small town in the edge of Libya, they probably cannot control 90% of Libya, or have no say to what happens to 90% of Libya. The prime ministers cannot be in the capital. The ministers cannot be in their ministries and execute on the ground. So it is a government in exile, in a sense, internal exile, that they have really a very, very weak body, similar to what happened to the National Assembly. That's the situation. That's why the international community cannot intervene, because it's a political fight, if you will.
And can I ask you, Mr. Bersham, where did it all go wrong as such? Is it perhaps this bringing in, from or incorporating the militias, trying to control them by paying them off essentially and giving them so much power? Was that a core difficulty down through recent years, or is there other factors that come into play?
You're absolutely correct. To buy off the militias, I mean, basically, if you put a little bit of data into this, I would say probably between 15 to 30,000 people who fought in the uprising. Now we have a military or militias of over 300,000. What happened essentially, thugs, street gangs, whatever, the war, a militia, military, and basically they call themselves something, a military, and they start getting paid from the government to pacify them. The issue, yes, you are absolutely correct, there's a lot of mistakes. I think that Mr. Zaidan have caused us a lot. Also another weak government of Mr. Keep, who have not really taken up the issue. Essentially, what happened in Libya is that you've got a people's uprising. We don't have a government toppled. We don't have a system that's taken over by another system, or we don't have an ideology that's taken up over another ideology. We have a people uprising, have obviously uprooted the whole system, and as this is coming up, they're building a state, they're building a constitution, they're building government systems. That's really a huge challenge with no leadership, no clear leadership. And that's the vacuum that we are dealing with at this point.
And let me bring back in Hélène Bravin. Can I ask you about the events that have unfolded at the airport just outside Tripoli over recent weeks? That is really what seems to have allowed the country to descend even further into this quagmire. We see rival militias vying for territory.
Yes, so the attack towards a site, a strategic site, is not the first time. You know, in the past, there are a few months ago, we have an attack in Tripoli against the naval base detained by Abdel Hakim Belhaj, and the Misrata decided to attack Belhaj. You know, the militia of Belhaj to gain the naval base. Now at the airport, you know, the airport belonged to Zintine militia. And in November, the militia go out from Tripoli, and now Zintine decided to come back to have again the airport. And Misrata, which come back to Tripoli too, doesn't want that Zintine gain airport. There is a fight between to obtain sites, and I would like to say one thing, that since the end of revolution, the government decided to pay militia to give the responsibility of security of for example, Tripoli.
And that's where a lot of these problems do stem, absolutely.
You know, they want to have money, and they want to stay to keep sites.
Hélène Bravin, thank you very much for coming into studio, and thank you very much to Wahid Boursam for joining us on the line there from Tunis. And that ends our France 24 debate for this evening. More news coming up. Do stay with us.